live. We are live. We are live. We are live on another Caison Corner. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are live again. Back on the block.
What's up, world?
We are live. We are live again. I'm so grateful and thankful to have another opportunity to come before the people and say a little something again so that hopefully we can help to educate our people. You know, I believe in the thought of reach one, teach one. And this is what our goal is on tonight. You know, we want to teach, we want to educate, we want to bring our people to the light so we can know where our place is, not just in this world, but in the eyes of God. And I'm grateful and I'm appreciable again that we have my good friend, my brother Fred from the city of Philadelphia, back on here to represent again. And this time we have a brand new friend and acquaintance, brother Jonathan Speaks, that has decided to be a part of this great discussion. You know, I'm so grateful, you know, to have you guys. Our brother Thaddeus wanted to be with us, but you know, he had some things going on where he wasn't able to be here. So I'm grateful I was able to have another good brother to come in and fill the void. Listen,
thank you for having me.
Everyone that don't know, I'd like to welcome you to Caison Corner. Woo-hoo! And we are on part 2 of our discussion concerning what's going on in Black America, the past, starting from biblical times, as the biblical times moved along to the different centuries, and as it came closer to the teens, where we talking about the 1200s, the 1300s, 14, 15, 16, to when the time of the knowledge of us being here. I believe the reality was we always was here in America. You know, they might call some of us Mexicans, they might call some of us Americans, they might call some of us Haitians and
Moors,
Jamaicans, and you know, but it was all the from the tribe of Judah, a majority of the tribe of Judah that has been brought over to this unknown land that we now call America. So on our last edition, we got through pretty much where the crossover started happening 400 years ago. And I'm gonna give my brother Fred the chance to give his thoughts as we begin. Then Jonathan, yeah, I'm gonna let y'all introduce yourselves once again.
starting with me. Okay. Hello, world. I am nobody. I come from a mother and father. I have lived my existence in America with the same struggles as everybody that is here with me now. It's not quite as the people in the past, but you know, same struggles. I'm not a rich man. I live the same life as everybody else, just trying to make it from day to day. But I try to study and understand our position in the world in 2021. If that's even the year, I don't know. But for argument's sake, we'll say this is the year 2021. And hello, hopefully I can edify one, and that's my goal.
All right. How y'all doing, everybody? My name is Jonathan Speaks. Obviously, I'm an African-American young Black male. I live in Philadelphia, PA right now. I also had a rough life growing up, obviously, like so many of us, but I was able to take that rough life and make it as smooth as possible. I'm still working to continue to do that, but I always say, man, determination is where it's at, man. You got to be able to make it to where you want to be. Nobody can stop you. It's going to be obstacles, obviously. It's going to be, you're going to have to take some detours, but at the end of the day, as long as you stay focused, keep your eyes on the goal, you'll definitely get there. So hopefully we'll be able to give some encouragement tonight via this conversation, but also just, give some history of where we come from and how we do things, and how we could continue to get better at it.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Fred, and thank you, Jonathan. Listen, we're grateful that we have the month of February to celebrate as African American History Month. But as we all know, we just shade 365 days of the year, 24/7. And there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of information that was not shared with us in the school system, whether it was public, Catholic, parochial. So that's why we here to spread the good news, the real news. And like Caison said, each one teach one.
So as we begin to cross and cover this timeline of the early 1500s and 1600s, I want us to begin to think what our ancestors went through, and the fight that has continued from then up until now. Since I was on here last with you guys, I watched a couple good pictures on Netflix concerning Malcolm X and who really killed him, and the unfortunate part is what happened to Malcolm X has been going on since they brought us over here. That we are killing ourselves. We hurting ourselves. The enemy is within. And if Fred, you can correct me. I was talking to Lonnie, and Lonnie was telling me actually the theory of the guy Lynch was actually something that was created in the 1960s. There is
I've heard it wasn't true. That's what I heard.
There is no actual proof.
Right.
But I like the theory of what they wrote, because the theory of what they wrote, even though it may not be a true story, the theory in what happened and what's created during that time is still prevalent today.
Sure. Willie Lynch, I've heard theories on it was a made-up story, but the main point of Willie Lynch is that us as a people, we have been mastered. The people who rule over top of us have a PhD in our behavior, our likes, our dislikes, and they're showing forth to this day. We have to figure out a way on how to circumvent that, and it's not easy. It starts at home with the family, the nuclear family, man, woman, and child. Whether the child is male or female doesn't matter. But the story of Willie Lynch, it touches a lot of things because it speaks to how you could break the mind of an individual. Yeah. And it's not hard. I can't remember if I spoke about this last week on how you break the mind of a person or the hope or the spirit. Watching certain things happen to your family and you cannot protect them. Taking away your language, of course, and force feeding you a new language that you know nothing of, and they got to explain to you the definition of what these words mean. It wasn't that difficult. It was written, it was a curse, and we're still living it today, but it is not forever. It is not forever. And we must endure to the end.
John?
Yeah, so as I'm not as familiar, I heard the name and I heard, little things about the story, but I have to second that. I mean, of course, when you are dominating one race versus another race, you're going to figure out ways how they think, how they react, how they move, how they walk, how they talk, what they need, what they don't need, what they like, what they don't like. So in order for you to combat that, you have to think outside the box. Like Mr. Frederick said, you have to figure out ways to circumvent that system or whatever you want to call it. So therefore, I always say the first step, like you said, mother, father, God forbid, most people probably don't have both. Statistics show that. So therefore, you need a strong mentor. You need a strong uncle, a strong aunt. You need something to help.
Right, that village.
Yeah, and church. So you need something to stabilize that kid while he's growing up. Even with me, when I was growing up, I had both. However, certain things happened in my family to where I lost one for a period. And that caused certain other issues to happen to me via when I was in school, elementary school, going all the way up to high school. So my mother did the best she could do. But things happen. So in order for you to circumvent that, you need to have that strong system around you. Those strong people you in the right direction. Not all the time that it's going to work, but at least when you out there doing something that you probably don't have no business doing, it'll still come back in your mind like, hey, this is the blueprint that I got. This was what my mom or my pop or both parents showed me to get me back on track. So I told Rick, the first thing that I would start with, in order for you to start, household first, come out after that, you need to be able to learning how to read. Learn how to read. If you don't know how to read, you pretty much can say forget it. You ain't gonna be able to do too much of anything. And that's just fact. You will never reach the
facts as the kids.
You will never reach that total potential that you could be able to reach if you knew how to read.
And you know,
Absolutely.
Speaking of reading, now that you brought that point up, you know, I was also looking at another story on Frederick Douglass, and you know, the impact that he had on our race, you know, and making waves. Like he taught himself to read.
Wow.
You know, and he was not going to allow, you know, the situation that he was born into to, you know, dictate where his future was going to go.
There you go. There you go.
Unfortunately, there was so many. I think the movie that came out on Harriet Tubman, you know, she said her one regret was that she didn't free more, because there were so many that in their mind didn't realize that they were slaves.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's powerful.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Once they got free, they still had the mindset of slavery. They didn't know what to do.
I believe the statement was, don't quote me on the number, but Harriet said, I freed over 5,000 slaves in my life. And I would have freed 5,000 more if only they knew they were slaves. I believe that's.
Amen.
Don't quote me on the number.
She said. That's what she said.
And you know, some the Underground Railroad ran through Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Out in the park. Absolutely.
Yeah. And see, and that's something else that they didn't teach us. Like John, I know we may be a little older than you, but on our last discussion, we was talking about how in school, you know, we had a week of Black history. They teach us 1 week of Black history, and we learned about Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks.
Yep.
Right, but
we lived in Philly. We're not in Philly now, but we're natives of Philadelphia.
Right.
Oh, no doubt.
You would think that they would teach us that, like, hey, this is a part of the African history in America, right here. They tell us about the Liberty Bell, but they ain't tell us that this is where the slaves came to get free.
Yeah, they tell us Betsy Ross made the flag, but they don't tell you the slave woman that actually designed the imprint, the stars, the stripes, the colors. But she will get no credit. But this is the world we're living in right now. It's no surprise, not to me.
And not to mention, them cutting out the part of the Star Spangled Banner that actually talked about us coming over in ships and stuff. Like, that's why I can't understand when I look at black people that sing that song. Like, it wasn't written for us.
No.
No, you don't know the lack of knowledge is the reason
Yeah, no,
for
I was gonna say, 'cause
it. They
people don't
spoon
know.
fed.
They don't know.
They're spoon fed Americana, so it's
Right.
not their fault. It's not their fault. You know, this
No,
is
because they don't
America.
know. And one of the things that I found to be so important, we can't trust the school system to teach our kids. We got to
No.
be knowledgeable so that we can teach. our
Exactly. So even with the school district, you know, it's sad, but majority of school districts in urban communities don't have the money. They don't have the individuals that want to do the job, and it suffers through the kids. So, and I'm not going to say all teachers don't want to do the job, but when you have a system that was created to even with this, I'll explain it a little bit. So, in order for your school system to get money, of course you're going to get it from federalized, but you also get it from the paying taxes on your house. So
Right.
urban communities don't really have that money coming in. Your taxes is really low, or you're not paying taxes at all. Let's just be honest. So if you don't have that money coming in, then that's where you start to talk about, you got old school books, you got 30,
If you got books,
40 kids in a classroom, you got teachers that get frustrated because I ain't getting no help. It ain't like we got 2 teachers to a class, you know what I'm saying? And then you got kids, obviously, if you, like I said, if you don't know how to read, chances are you're gonna not be successful.
class can't lie out.
Science, you're not gonna be successful at all. So that's where it comes to us as a community to say, how can we figure out a way to switch that? That's why we're having this discussion tonight. You know, how can we put that money back in the community? Like Pastor Stacy said, we have to, if you can't get it, when you send those kids out to public school, you got to take the time, the extra hour when they come home before you go to bed. Hey, let's read a book real quick. Hey, doing some math real quick. Hey, let's take it to the next level. Let's learn algebra when you ain't gonna learn it later on until you get in high school. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's different steps that we can take to, like, I keep going back to circumvent that those obstacles and those issues that we face.
I would say that unfortunately, the problem in our community is like Willie Lynch said, we will be in a whirlwind. And part of that whirlwind is we think up is down, left is right. We embrace negativity.
Yep.
We love it. We love hearing, whether it's in our rap music, whether it's in the way that we dress, the way that we treat each other. This baby mama, baby daddy dynamic that's prevalent in every Black community in this country. I can't speak about the rest of the world, but it's prevalent. We're not getting married. Why would I get married if I think she's a whore? If she thinks I'm this, that, and the third? There's no respect amongst the sexes. If I'm married to my wife, it's a team. It's a team. The school, I will not leave it up to the school district to educate my children.
Amen.
That's my wife and my job. But if I have no education and my baby mama ain't have no education, what chance does my seed have, male or female? Well, I mean, honestly,
I'm with you.
that's the question.
Jonathan,
we love rap music, talking about stripper culture and doing drive-bys. And I'm not gonna be a fraud and act like when I was 19 years old, I ain't like to hear some of that gangster rap. I didn't. But you got to keep things in proper perspective. That's entertainment, just like you are playing a video game. It's not real life.
Right.
We have to tell these children that the difference. And I think they get the lines blurred. And they think that you have to have this fake image that's going to lead you to the grave or to the prison cell. Both of them is Pick one. Which one you want? No, thank you.
Gentlemen, can we go back to the root of why we are at that problem?
The problem we're in right now?
Yes, did not it start with the man,
Yes.
breaking us,
Are you
separating?
asking me or Mr. Speaks?
Fred, I'll let you go ahead and answer, and I'll just go right after you.
Okay. Thank you, brother. In the 1960s, there was awakening in this country. You had Christians, MLK. You had Muslims, El Hajj Malik Shabazz. You had all types of different people, and they were sick and tired. But the main point is that they kept the old school dynamics. All of them were married. There was relatively low crime in the Black community. We didn't slaughter each other at the rate that we're slaughtering each other today. There wasn't much drug use. Alcoholism, sure. Maybe a little cocaine, sure. But the pills and all the things that we're supposed to now, that wasn't there.
Right.
The dominant society, quote unquote, they came up with a system to stop this. It was called COINTELPRO, Counterintelligence Program. And their job was to break up this Black Power, stick together movement. And it happened in the 70s. And one of the first things they did was they came up with this thing called feminism.
Mm-hmm.
Feminism was never in our community. It was in their community, not ours.
Yeah.
In their community, their man dominated them. Our man, in our community, we never dominated our woman. Did we cheat? Sure. But it's not the domination to the point where you needed to separate from us to get your resources met.
Yeah.
And they pushed it, and some of our ladies, they embraced it. They embraced it. This feminism, individuality concept, and it grew, and that wasn't moved fast enough. And then the 80s got here, and they said, let's come up with something that will take them off a track, and we'll put them on a track. And that was, we're going to give them a new disease called HIV.
Yes.
We're going to give them we're going to give them brand new state-of-the-art weapons, 9mm and 380s and 45 semi-automatics. And we're going to give them something even worse called crack cocaine.
Crack cocaine, yes.
And it's going to be so delicious. One puff, you'll sell your newborn for $5.
That's crazy.
I was born in an era, Mr. Speaks, you look like the same age as me. I'm pretty sure you know what it looks like. You know what it looks like. And that dulled the senses of the Black Power. I hate to use that term, Black Power, but that dulled the togetherness that we had 20 years prior. And then they gave us, unfortunately, not hip hop, they gave us gangster rap. And good night. Good night.
Yes.
And here we are today. In my humble opinion.
Jonathan, can you talk from the regentification and the redlining situation that was created, to separate us and put us in positions where we can't be in areas to be successful?
Yeah, so even going back a little bit, just off of what Fred said, even going back to that era, that crack era, even with them implementing the food stamps and whatnot, it was created to where basically once you sign up for these things, for this food stamps and whatnot, they can do a search. They could come into your house if they see those male boots right there.
Gotta go.
They could cut you off. So
right.
So that helped remove the male from the home.
Yes.
So you remove the male from the home once again, things start to happen. The money stopped coming in back then. And women doing a hell of a job. But back then, a lot of women worked because their man was out there taking care of the business while the woman was home taking care of the household. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing now. But however, that started to spur, it started to transition over to
Baby mamas.
Exactly. It just started the transaction. The transition over to where now men aren't in a house. Men are now getting locked up. Men are now trying to find different ways to make money, which ultimately brought us to here. So now we're not out the house. We don't have no money. So now we doing the drugs now. You know what I'm saying? We trying to find different ways to cope with these issues that we got going on. Now, as far as the redlining and the different things that happened as far as the housing market, back then, you couldn't even really go to a bank and get a loan to purchase your home if it was in a certain area. They will not lend you the money. So when you look at a lot of things that's going on now, home money wasn't given if they felt like your home was in a neighborhood that was dangerous.
According to them.
According to them. It wasn't.
There was no crime there.
No, my crime is low. It ain't dangerous. No. According to us, you're living in this neighborhood, so we can't give you that money. So a lot of these homes that you see now, whereas now was being gentrified, we didn't have the funds to buy it. They didn't give us no financing. And if you don't have a job to buy these houses for, they really expensive now, but even back then, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 is still a lot of money back then.
Yes.
Right. When you don't have no money.
Things like that created the disparity to where you look at the generational wealth.
Mm-hmm. It created the ghetto as well.
It created the ghetto. So now, even when you look at it now, the ghetto is prime real estate. Now everybody else is coming back to try to buy up that ghetto, because anything close to center cities, anything close with a view with the skyline is prime real estate. That's where you want to be at. You don't want to be out there way out in the woods where you can't really see too much of anything. You get what I'm saying? But because they created these systems that didn't allow us to purchase homes back then, that's why you have all of these people that now are being misplaced. I don't have nowhere to live. I got to go to Section 8 because I can't afford to get that house that my mama had or my grandmama had, because we had to sell it for $15,000, knowing that it was probably worth $150,000. So that's where the issues come in at.
And that's also the lack of education.
Exactly.
Maybe y'all can help me to understand. Why was the ghettos built around the uptowns, the downtowns? You know, like, you'd have thought the ghettos would have been on the outskirts of the city, where, you know, even here in Charlotte, like what they call uptown now used to be the hood. From everybody that been living here all these years, that's what they telling me.
So,
you know.
So and this is just my opinion. This is just from what I understand. When you take a collection of individuals and you need to, let's just call it what it is, you need to keep your eyes on them and keep track of them, where are you going to put them? You're going to condense them into one area where there's not a lot of room to move around, and you're just going to leave them there. So you know where they at. They can't go but so far. You got your eyes on them. And then when you create that static, that's when you start to have issues within that one community. That's when you start to have the violence. That's when you start to have the drugs. That's when you start to have the what they say, black on black crime. It happens in every race, but it's just not talked about. It's not magnified as much. You get what I'm saying? Because they illuminated the mind to make you think that, oh, black people are doing it at such a high rate. That's not true. It's just magnified now. That's what the news wanted to show. So when the reason why those ghettos was created, because it was and this is my opinion, it was easier to keep them in this one section than to take them out there and rebuild all of that up. And that's just me personally.
Yeah, and to agree, I agree with you, brother. That they want to move you away from the center, the heart of the city, the financial market of the city, wherever that city is. Philadelphia, center city. So they stretch us north and south and west in our city, to get away from that's you don't want us hanging around their financial centers anyway. That's what they don't want. In Los Angeles, what they did to them They built freeways through their communities. This was to block them off from the financial centers of Los Angeles, the Rodeo Drives and the Valley and all that type stuff. But they don't want us. I mean, that's what it is. They don't want us.
And if you don't have the knowledge, like even when I was going to real estate school, my real estate teacher, she said it. She said it. Even when you look at Chinatown down Philadelphia, it was plans to build a highway through Chinatown. What did they say? Nah, it's not happening. We're gonna protest that, and it didn't happen.
And here's the question, though: why? Did the Chinaman give them some cash on the side? Why didn't they? Because they would have did it to us, even if we offered cash. We wouldn't have had that option. Why didn't they? Did they have a community that they respected?
So it could be a multitude of things. Do I put it past them that they gave some money up? No, I'm pretty sure they probably did. Is it a community that they respect? Yeah, more than likely, because you wouldn't have a whole Chinatown if they didn't respect you. You get what I'm saying? We don't have African American town. We got
they want to have that.
Yeah, we got every if you look at Philadelphia, you drive through Philadelphia, everybody got their own part of the city except for us. We it's spread out, and that's the view you get all throughout America.
How about that?
So I mean, when you have and this is why I always tell people, it's not even with the, and I'm not trying to get off topic, I'll lead you guys back, but when you look at things from when you step back and look at it from a wide lens, and you figure out why these things are happening, you get to notice that money brings power. If you don't have any money, you have no say-so. It's the same. If you out with a couple of dudes or having a conversation with a couple people you don't really know, they're not really going to listen to you and take your advice because you have nothing to show that what you're saying worked for you. It didn't make you. You know that you're good financially, but if you can't show it, it just is what it is. So when you look at every community, they were able. Once again, it wasn't our fault. We were stripped of we were stripped of all of this. We couldn't go to the bank and get loans and stuff like that. But when you have money, you're able to say, I got this. And we ain't voting for you if you ain't doing what we said. We're going to take our dollar. We're going to keep that. You ain't getting our vote. So you ain't going to tell us what to do. So that's why it's important to be able to have that economics. Economics brings forth a whole lot more opportunity.
True. The thing is, though, brother, to counter your point, Black people in America as a whole, we have the spending power of, don't quote me again, about the fourth or fifth country in the world as a whole.
Yes.
As a whole, yep.
We have the dollar. The problem is we can't pull together all those billions of dollars that we have because we got money for McDonald's. We got money for weave. We got money for Jordans. If we could pull that money together, we can be an economic force. But the distrust in our community is so prevalent that it's impossible.
Would you say that is valid? The distrust?
It is now, sure. It is now, but it's unnatural. Every other people on the planet trust their own people except of us. And it's a reason for that. It's a reason for that.
Yes.
Now,
Fred.
sure, I've been burnt plenty of times by us. I have. So I can get the distrust. But it's a reason why I was burnt. Because he didn't respect me.
Right.
That book, Fred, you was telling us about on the last episode, I think it was about the coding.
The ISIS Papers by Francis Cress Welsing, yes. Very good.
Tell us a little something about that.
Well, it just breaks down racism into it breaks it down that's easy to understand. How racism infiltrates every part of activity around the world, whether that's politics, whether that's entertainment, whether that's war, whether that's sex, whether that's business. It permeates through all of those. And it's a very simple, easy read, easy to understand. Unfortunately, the woman who wrote the book, she died. So the price probably went through the roof. When I brought the book, I think I paid $15, $16, maybe 10 years ago. The price might have jumped. But It's a very good book for anybody that's out learning, that want to learn the basics very early on what racism is and what it looks like and how it's everywhere you look. It's hidden in plain sight. I recommend it for everybody. The Hidden Colors. No, I'm sorry. That wasn't the name. What was the name of the book? Oh damn, now I'm on the spot live. Francis Cress Welsing. It'll come to me. I'm sorry, guys. It'll come to me. I'll blur it out when I get it.
Well, I wanted to go further into as we move through the span of time that we recognize and see. I had sent you guys a video today of an evangelical pastor that recently said to his ministry that he was talking to the white people. He was like, you know, y'all need to shut your mouths and y'all need to start praying and asking for forgiveness, not because of what you done, but because of what your ancestors did. Because some people don't realize, you know, sometimes the things you pay for ain't because of what you done, but it's what people that came before you. Think about what Black people, what we are paying for the way that our people have partaken in what they eat over the years. You know what I mean? Like from slavery, how they fed us pork and they fed us things that was just like we was not supposed to eat, but it became such a thing because that's all we could get because of the predicament that we were in, that they ended up actually using it against us.
Sure.
You know, and those are the things that you know I'm concerned and want to make our people aware of. Like even within the Black church, how we have continued traditional things that came through slavery.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about whipping our children with belts and lashes. Like that's a continuation of slavery. Like when do we get to the point where we recognize and see we have to stop doing what was traditional?
I don't know. And I'm not afraid to say I don't know. We're all on water seeks its own level, and we're all on different levels. What I know, he might not know. She might not know. They're coming from different perspectives. By the way, the name of that book was the ISIS Papers, ISIS Papers, Francis Cress Welsing. You're right. When we talk about our diet is horrible in this country. What things we eat today is what we ate 400 years ago, only because we had no other choice. Now it's called in fact, they took that from us. They call it Southern food. It's a delicacy in some parts of the world.
That's what they call
It's called Southern food. It's soul food, which is extremely high in sodium, which is why we have the high blood pressure rates that we have in this country right now. The diabetes that we have in this country right now. We are the most unhealthy people on the planet. And I have to blame not lack of exercise, it's our diet. We eat trash. Why? Because grandmama ate trash, her grandmama ate trash, and her grandmama ate trash. That's a tradition, unfortunately, that has been passed down. And we're all victims because it's delicious. We know. We all love it. We all love it. But we gotta stop.
So I'll take it a step further. Yeah, I agree. But when I look at it, I also look at it from a standpoint of being food deserts. For those who may not know, food desert is basically if you live in an area where there's no market within a certain distance from you, where you're buying stuff from the corner store, you're buying your fruit from the corner store, vegetables from the corner store, where it may be old fruit, old vegetables, or corner stores. And let's be honest, they don't have it. So even when you look at certain communities, like let's look at around Tiffin Gerard. It's the closest market is Fresh Grocers, and that's on Temple campus.
This will be more.
even when you look at, let's talk about what's that, 9th and 10th and Girard. Well, that's probably like 13th and Girard. It was a Rite Aid right there. Then you got Broad Street. It used to be a CVS on the corner. What did they do? They shut both of them down within the last month. So now you got old folks that can't even go get their medicine. So these are issues that, like I said, yeah, well, like Frederick said, the diet is trash, but it's not always our fault. Also, if you can't go to the market, what you going to do? If you don't,
And not to cut you, I'm sorry, brother, not to cut you off. Partially the reason why them old folks are on medicine is because of their diet 20 years ago.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So
Yes.
when you take everything into consideration, I mean, it's very hard. It's very hard, one, to change your diet, but it's also hard when you don't have the funds or you don't have the necessary means to get to where you need to go. Ain't no old folk. I wouldn't want my mom is still relatively young and healthy, but I don't want her catching no bus out here to go get no food from the market. I would never let that happen. You get what I'm saying? So when you have those things, when you have those food deserts and you have those places where you can't get healthy food unless you go 5, 10, 20 miles out, it makes it kind of hard to start to change that pattern.
That's true. But my question would be, if the market was closer, is that going to stop us taking in so much saturated fats?
I think if the market was closer and you was able to educate people, like you said,
they don't know what healthy is. Again,
it's
right.
Exactly. So it's a mix of it's a mix. You need both. You also need finances. Also, let's be real. A healthier meal, it costs a lot more than a meal that's trash.
Well, a lot of them are on food stamps because they're poverty stricken.
That's true.
Not all, but you hit on the point. They don't know what eating healthy is. They want some cheese fries. They want something greasy, and it's delicious. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating, but you can eat that until you're about 30 years old. Then you got to give it up. And I still eat some of it sometimes. And I'm not trying to cast dispersions on anybody.
Right.
It's hard to if you were never educated from the womb on fruits, vegetables, water. If you are going to eat meat, try to have it baked or grilled. It's hard, man. It's hard, and I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm still trying to figure it out. And I have access to healthy foods, but it's in my mind that it tastes good, and a person wants what tastes good. Unfortunately,
that's a fact. That's a fact.
I love cheesesteaks. It's not good for me, but I love them.
Right. I agree with you on that one, man. But it's like you said, it's very hard to change that diet, man. But it's imperative that we do, because at the end of the day, like you said, those diseases, they here. That high blood pressure is here.
I'm a victim.
Yeah. So, I mean, sadly, you have a lot of people who are unfortunately dealing with those circumstances, and they just don't know how to fix it, So once they figure out, once we continue to educate like we're doing right now, man, I think once it starts to, become more of a wave, I think it'll be a lot more people changing eventually.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote a book years ago called How to Eat to Live. Mm-hmm. And in there, he specifies, mainly, the main thing I took from there was you only need to eat once a day. Particularly depending on your job. If you work in the office, you need to eat once a day. If you're burning a whole bunch of calories, sheetrock and construction, you could eat twice. But the three meals a day, it's not really
a lot.
That leads to obesity, and you're just taking in more stuff than your body needs. You're not burning that many calories at work all day. So you don't need that many calories to intake.
Right.
And I'll be trying to tell people that, and they look at me sometimes like I have two heads. And it's difficult, and it's discouraging, but I'm not going to stop.
No, I agree with you, man. I find myself sometimes overeating also, man, but it's true, because once you start to feel that heavy feeling on your body, it's telling you it's too much, man.
You don't need it.
But you don't need it. You don't need it. Like you said, you don't burn that much calories in a day anyway. So especially if you, like you said, you're not doing that that hard lifting, that heavy lifting at your job, then it's impossible for your body to burn all of that off. So yeah, you're 100% right. I agree.
And that's also why this country is the fattest country on the planet.
That's a fact. That is a fact.
You know what I mean? So education is key.
Education.
That's the end of everything.
Yep. I agree.
But also speaking about diet, it speaks about that in the Holy Scriptures, in the Old Testament. What to eat, what not to eat. If people will take a look at that, they'll see, and we won't suffer from what we suffer from right now.
Right.
You back, Harry? I guess not. Yeah, but man, we are losing again.
Yeah.
And I ain't y'all tired of losing? I mean, you can win on an individual level, but man, this is a grand stage, man.
Right. Exactly.
Enough is enough, man.
You're on mute, Elder. You're on mute.
He don't see the button. That's what happened to me when I first came on.
You're on mute. But
we see you, brother. I'm sorry, I'm Mr. Speaks. Yes, sir.
But yeah, man. But yeah, so I mean, it's like I said, it's imperative to be able to just continue to educate these individuals the best we can, and just be able to tell them, hey, man, you eat right, you live longer, you read, you're able to become more successful, do more things that you didn't think about even doing. You know, like you said, education is key. That's with every single thing.
But some of our people are so far gone, man, unfortunately, that you only can educate the educatable.
Right.
And that's all you can worry about.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the atmosphere that we're living in right now is full of negativity, man. And like I said, the distrust amongst us. How do you reach them? I don't know, man. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I've tried. And I won't give up, but
I had to switch over to my phone because the laptop was tripping. But I thank y'all guys for continue talking. I want to go further, y'all, where and I just want to talk about the past, because we can't understand where we're going if we don't understand where we come from. And like I was telling y'all, from the story that I watched on Malcolm X, and we can see it from Martin Luther King and on and on. Why do it seem like we are our worst enemy? Why do we always have to ruin ourselves?
Because I will look at my brother with the hatred. That's biblical. That's part of the curses. I will hate my brother. I will fear him, and I will distrust him. But to speak about this pastor that you spoke about earlier, I wasn't impressed. This is typical. This is what you would call pandering. When they get in front of us, they'll tell us everything we want to hear. It's very similar to during every election cycle. Politicians will come in front of us and they'll sing and they'll dance and they'll do all the stuff that we love to hear, and we'll eat it up. For him to acknowledge, for somebody telling the truth, what am I supposed to give him for that? He's telling he's speaking a historical fact. What does he deserve for that? That's what we're speaking right now. Yeah. So no, I was not impressed.
Yeah, I didn't even get a chance to really sit down and watch it. Obviously, like I said,
you ain't missed nothing.
But if he's saying something like, if he's telling the truth, yeah, they need to fall back. It was a lot of things that you probably didn't do, but your ancestors did that caused us a lot of issues that we facing right now. So in order for y'all to understand, y'all need to listen. Don't talk, listen. You can't understand it if you're not listening, So most people, I said, y'all get it, but y'all don't fully understand the issues that it caused and why we're facing these same difficulties over the years, as far as being able to get out of this hole that we're in.
Absolutely.
And it saddens me, because for years I thought about having a discussion like this, and I realized that if it was never a time that it was needed, it was now, simply because of all that I've seen happen in my hometown over the last year. I mean, when the police officers killed that young man out in West Philly, and what do? We don't come together as a people to fight for him. We do it to ourselves again. Like,
So you have no credibility. You have no credibility.
Part of the problem is of the loss of the man in the home.
I was about to say, where are the leaders? In all honesty, let's have a real conversation. Where are the men leaders? You don't have a lot. You got a lot of people that be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, talking, but what y'all really out here doing? You need real life examples in order to see a real change. Back in the day, we had Malcolm X, we had Martin Luther King, we had Frederick Douglass, we had all of these Black leaders, even leaders that I don't even know half of the people that probably really was out here putting in work also. But when you look at our communities, we have no male leadership. Majority, when you look on, hold on real quick, even when you look on pages like the No Gun Zone page that we got in Philadelphia, that posts all the killings that go on in Philadelphia.
That's disgusting.
When you look at that post, who are all the people that's on there that's saying, I wish it would stop? It's women. The women are crying for things to stop. The men, they think it's a game. Everybody think it's a game until you either locked up in a box or you can't think no more. God forbid. You get what I'm saying? So in order to see that real change, you still need men to step up to the plate and say, yo, enough is enough. Let's get in these communities. Let's teach these young boys how to maneuver out here. Because if you don't, it's just going to, the Bible says it's going to get worse. And I'm a firm believer of that. And it's getting worse.
Right. And like I said, if I have a son, if you're 19 years old, I believe this could be coming off. I think they are who they are at this point. They're fully developed.
I don't believe that.
But if I have a son that's 5 years old, and you have a son that's 5 years old, and based off your intellect that you showed today, when they come of age, they're not going to have that same vitriol towards each other because you instilled in him what it's like to be a real man, and I'm going to do the same. So hopefully, if we start raising our own children in the house, when they get outside, they will know how to move accordingly.
So let me
good luck with that.
Let me throw this at you real quick. Go ahead, Elder. You look like you was about.
That's why the Bible says, train a child in the way that they should go.
So not depart.
They won't depart from it. And see, the Bible didn't say they wouldn't make a mistake. The Bible wouldn't say that they wouldn't maybe possibly fall off course. But when you teach them and you put it in them, that eventually what you put in them, it will start to materialize.
That's what I'm saying. If he's already 20 years old, I don't know.
All right, so let me throw this at y'all. So here's an example that I gave when I was going to LaSalle University for my bachelor's degree. We was all sitting in a nice size auditorium, and we had offenders that, was able to get out of prison and turn their life around. So they asked the question, why do you think there's so much crime going on in the Black community? Mind you, if you know LaSalle's predominantly white. There was a lot of white students in there when I was going there. It kind of changed now because obviously, they did certain things to bring more minorities in. So my response was, if you have a group of kids that's living in the community, every morning they wake up, They see either unemployed, on drugs.
Where they daddy at?
They see no dad. They
Why not?
are outside, maybe selling drugs or doing whatever they doing. You wake up, you go outside, you see dirt, no grass. You see houses that's falling apart. What are you ultimately gonna do? Now, if you take those same group of kids and you put them on a bus and you take them to this nice neighborhood and show them, hey, you got grass here, you got buildings over here where they working and doing their scientists or their doctors and doing this and doing that. Ultimately, what are you going to see? Regardless of their situation at home, you're going to see a larger percentage of those kids become more successful, right? You would think, right? So therefore, if you don't have that camaraderie in a neighborhood to where you can say, I'm going to bring everybody together, we're going to group this thing together, we're going to make sure all these kids see the outside and not just the inside where they're living at, then you might get that change. However, once again, there's not a lot of opportunities to where you have groups. Now there's some, but it's not enough to where you can have these individuals take these same kids and be able to show them different. Now, as far as you saying, if you're 20 years old, you can't change. I don't believe that, because I look at me and I look at what I was doing when I was younger in high school. I look at, for me, and I'll just tell you a quick story. Like I said, when my father had to go to prison and I got to the 4th grade and my mom had me, I was diagnosed with an IEP because my mom said something was wrong, and they found out that I was reading on a 1st grade reading level when I was in the 4th grade, and due to the No Child Left Behind law, they kept pushing me for it, and my mom had me repeat the 4th grade, not because the school said so, because she knew it would work for me. To the point where I got to high school, I smoked my first L, which is, people don't know, marijuana in 6th, 7th grade. I stopped when I was in 10th grade. However, my life didn't change until I understood how I learned how to read. I got the chance to understand that it's more to life. I was shown it was more to life. So if you living in the conditions where most African Americans are living, more than likely the chances of them making it, it's going to be slim. So you have to be able to take those kids out of that neighborhood, out of that box that they're in, and show them different in order to get different results.
That's their father's job, though.
It's not, but if the father's not around, it's the man's job in the community. It is. Back then, it was if your mom wasn't home, you was getting that beating from that neighbor, and then you got that beating from your parents when you got home, right or wrong. So if me and you know, Elder Harry know, Pastor Stacy know, it ain't a lot of men out there. It just is what it is. They locked up or they dead, and the mothers got to work. So now, who's your next door neighbor? Who's that man that lived next door? Step up to the plate and say, "Man, I'm going to take you under my wing." That's mentor.
Yeah, but this goes into my point that these children that are out here, they have a lack of guidance. And why aren't their fathers in their lives? We got to worry about us. If you look at the statistics on young Black males who were murdered, young Puerto Rican males who were murdered, or the young ones who are doing life in prison, what is the chances that both of them came out of a mother and father household? What do you think that number is? Now, I'm not actually answering you.
Slim to none.
This is my point. And I'm not saying that if you've already 20 years old, you can't be saved. No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that we have to start with us. We have to stop our whoredom, okay? And we have to raise our children. So to raise my children, I can't do illegal activities that's going to take me out of my children's life.
That's right.
Where they end up 20 years old without me. Now, they have no male leadership. I mean, the community is supposed to raise, but those days are dead. Those days are dead. The village doesn't raise the children anymore. Why did that stop? Crack cocaine. We have to raise our children. So if you're already a grown man now, 22, 23 years old, no offense, but I have to worry about the people coming up after them to change this thing. And I just hope I'm alive to see
it. And see, this is where the Bible speaks about, spare the rod, spoil the child, and it says that you have to bend them and shape them when they're young, you know, because
That's what I'm saying.
you know, you really can't teach an old dog new tricks. And when you get over 20 something years old, you know, sometimes it takes a life-changing situation.
And not to cut you off, Big Dog, I'm sorry. But according to psychologists, after the age of 6, you are who you are at that point. After the age of 6. Now you can agree or disagree. This is what science says. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Well, one of our viewers just said that the brain does not mature until 25.
Right.
And we can't give up on them. And
No.
I understand what she's saying, but you know, because how crazy the world is, thank you, Ms. Boyd, for that comment. Because of how crazy this world is, I agree that the brain don't mature up until that point. But when a young man becomes a teenager and he starts to see the drug dealers on the corner, he starts seeing the stick-up kids on the corner, you know, and he starts to see and be influenced, you know, all the hip-hop documentaries I've seen, most of those guys said that rap saved them. Why? Because at a young age, all they saw in their neighborhoods was the drug dealers.
Right, and you have no father in the home to redirect.
There wasn't no father in the home.
To redirect that energy.
Right.
So
that's where
again, I'm not trying to say that if you're already a certain age that you can't be redeemed. I'm not saying that. It's harder. It's much more work. But you have no template or foundation that you're standing on. Because that son and that daughter, you don't want her to turn into a stripper. You don't want him to turn into some drug dealer, some shit like that. They have to see the father in the home to set the example on what manhood really is. And it's not about the car you drive, the money you make, or the jewelry on your neck. It's about the integrity. And follow my example on how you should do this thing. And you let your talents show forth. Because we're all born with talent.
And that's the important part, Fred, of what you're saying is that unfortunately, and it goes back to slavery from the moment that they started separating the families to taking the women away and raping them and abusing them to raping the men to try to humble them, you know, that caused the men to run. You know, because they was ashamed on how they was being abused by the master, that it just continued to be an avalanche effect where the man was missing from the house, you know?
Yes.
From the house, from the plantation, and then once they freed us, who's left? The women and the kids.
Yeah, but back to 2021, we are indulging in this stripper culture where it's all about easy sex or sex for $200. You know, that's how you make whores of your women. And if you go on any social media site, that's all you see. Look at our women.
Yeah.
Look, they say, look at the condition of the women of a society, and I could tell you the health of the society. Now look at our women. Just look at them. That's not virtuous. They nothing but sex objects at this point in 2021. They gonna be somebody's baby mama.
And
when it could be somebody's wife.
That comes from the loss of not having positive male influences in the house, and not just the house, but the community. Like, think about when I was younger, and you know, I know both of y'all are a few years younger than me, but like, what happened to the good organizations that grabbed the young men out of the neighborhood that didn't have fathers? Whether it was the football teams, whether it was the basketball teams, the rec leagues, you know, like, how many rec centers have they shut down where instead of those young men being on the corner looking at the drug dealer, they was in there either getting education or sports?
I remember that coming up when I was a teenager. That's dead. I remember they still have those facilities for up to about 6th, 7th grade. But once they hit puberty, again, they have no guidance from their father on how to act in public or social situations. They become unruly. And those sinners say, that's enough of you. Well, we'll rather work with we'll rather work with the smaller kids, I think, in my opinion. And it costs money. It costs money.
To you two, my brothers, you know I've been out of Philly now for about 7 years, and I'll use Philly as an example, but I'm talking about every major city that
Yes.
people dwell in. Is there hope, and what does the future look like for us? And I'm talking about starting off with the black man, Jonathan.
I think it's always hope where the sun shines. The future, I see a bright future, and that's just me being optimistic. I think if you are able to continue to educate, have platforms like this, have programs like mine, which is called Kings We Are, that is dedicated to empowering the young black man by teaching them financial literacy, teaching them all about the benefits of owning versus renting, also teaching them how to invest into the stock market. Therefore, you can be able to see your money grow instead of having it sitting in a financial institution getting 0.001 interest on your money. I think if you're able to teach the young black man that, regardless of their age, I think as long as they know, they're able to make those decisions and hope change their life. So yeah, I think it's a bright future. However, I think those things need to happen in order for us to be able to turn this thing around.
Well, Brother Jonathan, I agree with everything you said. I respect your positivity, but me, I am a glass half empty type of guy. Not to embrace negativity, but if we don't figure this thing out soon, the so-called black man, woman, and child in America will be a permanent underclass. We're on the bottom, and we've been there for a long time. So it doesn't matter how good we play basketball, how good we are in business. As a whole, we are a sickened people who are hopeless. Just look at the history. You have individuals who can overcome and all that, but I look at things as a nation, as a whole, and as a whole, to me, it looks grim. The mentality of our people, again, like I said earlier, man, we embrace degradation. We embrace negative everything, and I'm wise enough to tell you I don't have the answer on how you flip that, other than you have to raise your own children, and the only way to raise your own children is you have to stay with the woman that you impregnated. And I don't want to sound like a prude or anything like that, but I know it sounds corny and boring. You want to have a whole bunch of chicks and all that, but if you don't have a nuclear family, man, woman, and child, I don't know. I don't know. I don't see it. I don't. Unfortunately, sorry about that.
One of our watchers, Ms. Boyd, asked another question. She said, how do you help bring the people to a greater place? So if both of you guys had your perfect scenario, outside of us being fathers to our kids, which is the first priority, because a man that don't raise his house, his house is left uncovered.
Absolutely.
But outside of that, what can we do as a whole to say, all right, we got to cover those houses where there are no men at? And I think part of the problem is some women who run into situations where the men ain't there start to say they don't want help from no man.
But this goes into, if I have a daughter, right, and she's raised in the house with me or Mr. Speaks or the elder, she would know what manhood looks like. So all these guys that try and talk to her every day, she would recognize nonsense. But when a real one comes across her, she'll say, damn, he got some of the qualities of my father. Let me listen to what this brother's saying. What was the question from the young lady? I'm sorry.
She asked, how do we help bring people to a greater place where it's simple, you know what I mean, of just as what we doing now, trying to educate them, you know what I mean? What can we do to help the folks realize that we got to do better?
Stop being whores. Stop being whoremongers. That's my message for today.
John?
Marry the woman you impregnate.
So I agree. Marry the woman you impregnate, obviously. But I also agree with if you're not married, don't have sex. Or if you feel like you want to have sex, wear a condom. That goes for men and women. If you don't want to take care of that kid, you don't deserve that to have that feeling. So as far as that, let's just stop having kids unless you're married. Let's just be honest.
That's how it used to be.
As far as what else can we do, I feel like one, have discussions like we're having right now. Two, as the world begins to open up, let's have, this goes for churches, this goes for masjids, this goes for everybody, whatever religion you are. Let's be like the Israelites. Let's go out there on those corners and have those portable speakers out there, and let's preach your word of God or whatever word of God you believe in. Because at the end of the day, in my belief, that's the only thing that's going to change and save people. The next thing I would do, educate. Show people by the numbers, which I'm a statistic guy. Show them by the numbers because you need numbers to see, and then also show them the light. When I say show them the light, show them the good, show them the bad, but also show them the good. Whatever it is, whatever it takes that you have to do. Like I said before, in my example before, if you got a group of young boys that you see that ain't up to no good, take them out that neighborhood, take them to a new neighborhood, show them a little bit different. Same thing with the young ladies. If you got a couple young ladies that you see that's out here that's a little lost, show them. Go take them out. Show them what it is to put on a dress, put on a dress and have a nice little bag and go out there. Show them how to use those forks, how to use those knives. Show them how to say this. Oh, you very smart. I see that you have an eye for fashion. Oh, this, you can go to school for this. Or you very smart. I see you have a mindset for business. What do you like? Oh, you like art, or oh, you like clothes. Oh, you like makeup. Show them that they can create these things on their own. It takes time, but it's very well worth it if you put the effort in. So all in all, to say these are the things that it's imperative that you be able to show these kids that they can do it. It's not a lot of examples out here to show them that they can. We have basketball superstars, we got football superstars, we got rappers, we got singers. We don't see a lot of, and I'm gonna be completely honest, when you look at the Chinese race, if you make it in China and you don't come back and show some type of support to your people, they get rid of you.
That's culture. That's what we don't do.
In the Black community, we got basketball, we got
exactly
the brightest people.
Entertainment
players, we got football players, we got a lot of people, but a lot of us, we don't come back to the neighborhoods. We don't say, hey, I'm a doctor, I'm a scientist, I'm a business owner. So if you don't have those examples, it's kind of rough. So I don't always blame the kids, because if you don't have a blueprint to follow, you're gonna make your own way. So yeah, so I feel like it's important for the adults to come back to the neighborhood and give them a way out. And that's
right before we close, it's a gentleman on here, Desmond Fisher, that started a little dialogue with some of our watchers, and he said that marriage is overrated. Now, for me, I disagree, because
is a family overrated or just marriage? There's a difference.
That is a difference.
That's my question to him.
I want to teach something. The Bible says and Desmond, I hope you continue watching. It says a man that findeth a wife, he findeth a good thing, but the greatest thing about having that wife is that you obtain favor from God. We as men cannot obtain the favor of God without having the right woman in our life. Now, if the marriage that you had or had is not working, you got to look at yourself on who you decided to marry.
Absolutely.
Because, listen, for every one man, it's at least 8 to 9 to 10 women.
Yes.
We have our selection of choice to pick the right one. Not because she looked good, not because she smelled good, not because she act good, but what does she have to offer? Because every woman ain't meant to be a mother. Every mother ain't meant to be a wife. And see, when you take out time, you know, and see what you gentlemen was just saying, part of the problem is we stop getting married to enjoy the love or what sex has to offer, but we started loving sex and forgetting what love was. And see, we have to take time to get to love a woman before we start having sex with her.
Yes. But
if
that's
we
not
just
taught in
start off
school.
having sex with a chick, then that's what the relationship was built on top of. Sex. And it wasn't built on top of love and understanding and getting to know each other. And part of the problem that has plagued our community is that most of these children was born out of sex and not out of love.
There you go. And Harry, Mr. Desmond, if you're still listening, I would ask you, if marriage is overrated. You don't have to have a marriage certificate from the state. That's not what I'm saying. But what would you suggest? You co-parent through different households? Is that what you're suggesting, Mr. Desmond? That's a question.
John,
I don't know if he's going to respond, but go ahead, Harry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said, Elder. It's impossible for you to. I'm all about marriage. I'm only 30. I'll be 30 at the end of August, and I'm looking for a wife. I don't want a girlfriend. I want a wife.
No.
It says what it is. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not a fan of just saying it's overrated. It's needed.
Absolutely.
If it wasn't needed, then I think it shows that it's needed, because look where we're at now without no marriages.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
A whole mess.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a whole mess. And
baby mama, baby daddy.
It's nationwide. I mean, it's the breakdown. It's the breakdown of the family, man. It's the breakdown of the family. Part of the breakdown of the family, and I'm gonna have to be honest with you guys, and some people may disagree with what I got to say, was the Black church. The Black church destroyed so many families and marriages because people started to care more about their church than their marriage and their families. And God said, is God, family, then church. Because listen, the church is built on top of strong families. But if you don't have strong families, you're going to have a weak church.
Yep.
And I don't care what religion you in. It could be you being a Muslim. And every Muslim tabernacle, synagogue, forgive me for what I may call it, the greatest thing you see in there is that you see husbands with their wives and with their kids.
Yep.
And all of those places is strong. Yep. Because you see a bunch of strong men with their wives and with their kids. Mm-hmm. You know, part of the reason is this. And I want somebody to correct me. Is Muslim women more respectful and submissive to their husbands than the Christian ones is?
That's vague. Are you talking about Muslim women in America or Muslim women across the world?
I'm just saying in general.
I would think so. I would.
And that's part of the problem. I'm not saying the men are right when they leave their homes, but part of the reason why men leave their home is the frustration of what they deal with in the home.
You can leave, but you got to come back.
And you got to take care of your kids. You got to take, that's why
you got to come back.
Laws.
Yes, absolutely.
Fathers taking care of their children.
And this is leading to, this is what my original point was, this was leading to the murder rate, the robbery rate, the baby mama rate, the abortion rate.
Yeah.
You see, like one of our watchers just said, Barbara Jeter, she said, they always down at the church while neglecting their families.
Well, traditionally, the Black church has been very popular with our sisters, very popular. And the pastor is a smooth, silver-tongued talker, and he's able to persuade women who are not, they don't feel that they are fully satisfied with their husbands at home. So they have some things to work on themselves. So he preys on weak women in these weak churches that you're speaking on.
It's unfortunate that some of that does happen.
Not all, but
so
some.
Not all, but in some, you know what I mean? But as my father used to say, when you find the perfect church, direct me that way so I can join it. You know what I mean? Because I don't care in whatever type of club, religion, organization that you in, you're gonna have somebody in there that's doing something crazy.
Sure.
Jesus had Peter and Judas. Peter ain't do what Judas did, but Peter sure enough fell off his rocker when it was time to stand up and say, "That's my dog." You know what I mean?
He couldn't say it. Yep.
He couldn't say it. You know what I mean? And you got those, people that say they with you, but when it's time, you know what I mean, they cutting your back out. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they're not supporting you. And that's the problem of us with men. You know what I mean? I believe us as Black men that somewhere along the line between the drugs, the alcohol, the gangs, we stopped getting to a point where we respected each other's opinion.
That's lack of respect, sure.
And if we don't respect each other people can't respect us.
Right.
And I'm not gonna go too long with, but that's why we losing some of our women to other races.
Well, I don't know about that. Some of us are just rebellious, and they think the grass is green on the other side. I don't know if it got anything to do with us. Some of us, well, maybe you're right. What the hell do I know?
I just think it started from and Jonathan, I want you to give out the statistic that you gave us a couple of weeks ago concerning the housing market and where we are losing and everybody else is gaining. Yeah. But I think it started from the redlining. It started even before then of diluting the power of the Black man in front of his family, the community, and the world.
Yeah.
Jonathan?
So I don't have the statistics right in front of me. However, I will say from 1994, 2008 to present day, we are last for owning homes. And And that just shows a lot. And we are last in more than just owning homes. A lot of statistics, we are at the bottom of the totem pole as a whole. So like everybody said on this panel tonight, it's imperative for us to continue to work towards getting this thing turned around. It's impossible for you to turn the boat around in one smooth move, but it's going to take a whole team in order to do it. So I can keep saying the same thing. I can keep beating the dead dog, dead horse, whatever you want to call it. But you have to continue to push forward and educate. If you don't educate, then we lost. The Bible say my children perish for a lack of knowledge.
Yes.
All the knowledge is there. You got this, which is a small computer. You got your laptop. I see Fred is on his iPad. You got all this stuff. It takes 2 seconds to look it up. Find out. Go talk to somebody. It just is what it is. If you don't do that, if you feel like you can't, I urge you. You can. It's somebody out there. Like I said before, no. The Bible says no. It's nothing new under the sun. Meaning, and I like to look at things in the spiritual and the natural. There's no story out here that someone hasn't been through. The details may be a little bit different.
Nothing's original.
Do the
You're
same
right.
thing. Nothing is original. So therefore, you find that one person or that two or three or four or five who has been through something similar, and you get to talking to them. And that's the only way that we'll be able to help each other out and move forward.
I concur.
As we working towards our close, one of our viewers, Ebony Gunter, is asking why we as a people still are fighting for economic stability in a place that don't want us, but who needs us. Why don't we buy land in a Black country and build our own instead of begging to be included where we are not wanted?
So here's the thing, and this is just my personal opinion. You don't have to beg. It's not the 1800s or the early 1900s. No one is stopping you from buying land in the United States of America. No one's stopping you from investing into the stock market in the United States of America. No one can stop you. You may run into a few obstacles, but only the strong survive. You can be weak and give up. My mom always say, you get yourself 24 hours to cry about it, but as soon as that 24 hours is up, you got to get back to work. And I live by that. So yeah, you're going to run into some issues, but it's imperative that who has the money to go start a new life in a whole nother country? Let's just be real. Do you have a couple $1 million to do that? No. So why not just build where you are? It's land out here that's for sale right now. Do you have the money to do that? Do you have the money to buy the land? I could sell you a lot for $20,000 right now. I'm a realtor. But what you going to do with that lot? You get what I'm saying? So you have to be able to step back and say, how can I fix what I'm doing? Don't run from the challenge. Run to it. Because if you go to where you going to go? If you go to Africa, you're going to run into some challenges over there. China is taking over Africa. Let's just be real.
Absolutely.
Be real. That whole Middle East, all the way in Africa, all that, China came up with a 150-year plan on how they was going to overpower America. They're probably 75 years into that plan, and they're pretty much overpowering America. So anywhere you go, you're going to face some difficulties. So why not do it in a place that you already know? You know about like the back of your hand. It's neighborhoods all across the city, all across the country where you can go buy. Look at Detroit. Go buy some land, which is dirt cheap.
Absolutely. Have you, Mr. Speaks, and also to answer one question, I forget her name. Have you heard about the 19 or 20 families that pooled their money together and brought land in Georgia?
Yep. I heard about it.
So the sister who's asking this question, this is not unprecedented. You find some like-minded people who have a few dollars that they can put down on some land. And like I said, she said a Black country, so I'm assuming she's talking about Africa. But there's land in this country This country, everything in this country is for sale. Everything.
Everything.
So if you have a bunch of people who are like-minded and they have capital and they have credit, go buy your own damn land. And you live happily ever after. I wish you and whoever's with you the best.
There you go.
Go do it. Live story. Look it up. Do your Googles.
Yep.
19 families brought land in Georgia and they're living happily ever after. I think.
Yep.
Well, in our closing on this evening, I'd like to allow both of you gentlemen, to give your final thoughts on today because it's getting late. I know we all got to work tomorrow. And, I just want to give you all a chance to, give your final thoughts as we close out. And once again, this discussion, these segments are set up so that, we can increase the knowledge. It was a song back in the day that says money, power, respect.
The locks.
On top of all of those things, if you don't have knowledge to get the money and to get the power and to get the respect, then you just somebody stupid with money in your hand, don't know what to do with it.
That's a fact.
Having the money is good, but being able to be intelligent and powerful enough to know what to do with it is really important.
Exactly.
So Jonathan, and then Fred, and then we're gonna get ready to close out.
So my final thoughts is, one, I want to thank Elder Harry for inviting me over here on the platform to speak today. I want to thank Fred for also taking his time out and being on here also today. Gentlemen, I enjoyed my time. Oh, Pastor Stacy, I can't forget about you. I enjoyed my
He dips off.
I enjoyed my time on the platform discussing this. I hope to be back one of these days. To all the people that are watching or that may watch it later on, I want you to just stay positive, continue to fight, continue to learn, continue to take your time, continue to put yourself in a position to receive those blessings that God may bless you with. One thing you always one thing you can always count on is that God will not forsake you. He will not leave you, but you also have to be able to put yourself in the position to receive those blessings. You're not going to give a person $1 million if you blow it. You get what I'm saying? With that being said, just stay focused, keep on a positive note, and hopefully everything will work out. And if you ever need something, I'm open. You can contact me.
Thank you, Mr. Speaks. Nice to meet you, my brother.
Same here.
Harry, thanks again for allowing me to give my insight on this platform. To anybody watching, I would just say that the number one problem in the Black community right now is self-hatred. You conquer that, and then maybe it'll be a lot easier for me and you to trust each other and do business and pull our funds together like every other nation on the planet does easily. We have examples, but we have to conquer, unfortunately, we have to conquer our past and our history, but it's the future now. It's the present, and our future, we need to work together. If not, good night, y'all. Good night. We can't continue the way we are. I mean, just look at it. It's not working. So stop the nonsense. I love you. I need you to love me back. Don't hurt me. I'm not going to hurt you. It's simple, y'all. It's very simple. Good night. Brother Harry, deuce.
I totally agree. And I'm hoping that times like these, discussions like these, will allow us to grow as a people. One of our viewers said, "Can you guys put in your Instagram pages, contact information?" Jonathan, I believe he might want to get in touch with you concerning
Okay.
or if you just want to tell them out loud what it is. My Instagram is Biggie2C. That's Biggie, the number 2 and C. Jonathan.
My Instagram is my name, Jonathan, JOHNATHAN speaks.
I thought it was over.
AKS. Once again, that's Jonathan_speaks. My email address is jonathanspeaks91@gmail.com. And I'll also put that in the comments below.
Yeah, no Instagram for me. Sorry, folks. No Twitter for me. Sorry, folks.
Hey, listen
to the message.
ladies and gentlemen.
I'm living like it's 1998 all over again.
It's a great pleasure for me to have Fred just to be on Zoom, because he really don't do all that internet stuff. But I'm so grateful for you guys that y'all would take out time on your evening and come and be a part of this discussion, talking about the whitewashing of our history, and for us to be able to teach and educate our people, because I believe it's time out, for us just to continue just walking around, being led astray, being running amok, being hoodwinked, lying to ourselves. Half of the problems that we have today is that, unlike when drug addicts want to recover and alcoholics want to recover, and anybody that's addicted to anything, the first levels to recovery is acknowledging that
you have a problem.
And as long as us as a people do not acknowledge that we got problems, and not only do we got problems, but we need to change them, we're going to continue to be in this predicament that we have been for the last going on 500 years. Right. So we're going to try this again next month, probably towards the end of April, so we can allow these discussions that we had to settle in. If you did not see our first discussion, it is now on YouTube at New Hope FTC page. Please like and subscribe, New Hope FTC, under Caison Corner, where our first episode of the African American and African history, the whitewashing of our history, is on there. This one will be on soon as well. Please go and watch it on either Facebook or YouTube. I thank God for all the people that tuned in and that left comments and that had something to say. And we look forward to doing this again. This is great. And I hope that more Black men will come together. And as you said, Jonathan, not just talk about it, but be about it.
Exactly. Yep.
Support Jonathan and his King's organization. The church in general has to do better with supporting our people and pushing us. That's why we having discussions like this, because we care more about standing in front of people on Sunday morning and preaching a good word. But what are we doing to help change their lives? Right. Because if their natural life ain't growing, their spiritual life won't either.
Absolutely.
So we need for both of them to have the same type of growth. So once again, I thank you guys. I ask you guys to hang on in here with me as we leave out from Facebook. And listen, anybody that want to know anything more about what we're talking about tonight, you can reach out to me on my Facebook page, Harry Caison. My email address is harrycaison@icloud.com. And you can go to our church page at New Hope FTC. And we appreciate all you guys' support. And if you desire to want to bless us, you can go on our Cash App. It's New Hope FTC on Cash App. And if you want to be a blessing, either one of these gentlemen, reach out to us, and I'll be able to let you know how to do it. I thank you guys. We thank everybody for being on here. We hope that you have a blessed and a gracious night. And to all the kings and queens that have tuned in, I pray God's blessing upon your lives and that you have learned something on tonight. And that if we have reached just one person to bring them into the knowledge of the truth and reach one, teach one, we all grow together. We thank you. We appreciate you guys. And we look forward to doing this again. God bless you.
Peace out.
I thank you guys. I thank y'all so much. I thank y'all.
No problem, Elder. Fred, good to meet you.
So much.
Yes, sir,
I
my brother.
enjoyed my time with you, man. I really did.
Hey, when I want to buy a house, I'm gonna look you up.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
I'll send my information to Elder Harry so I can give it to you, man. Whenever when he send it to you, just let me know your
Contact info.
I can
Yeah,
get your information. Yeah.
absolutely, brother. All right, fellas. Have a good night. All right.
You too.
All
I'll
right.
talk to you soon.